Resilience is the ability to persist over time.
In the Manila Bay and other bays that experience red tides, it is the marginalized that is affected in health and in economy.
The engineering is the ability to absorb, thrive, and then recover. The faster you're able to recover, the more resilient.
Sa Pilipino, ito ay katibayan at katatagan sa mahirap na sitwasyon at ang kakayahang bumangon muli.
Yung ecological naman, the ability to adapt. Yung evolutionary resilience, Vale, to really innovate and be creative.
Resilience is really being able to spring back from adversity, but it should have learning, and therefore it strengthens you to be more resilient than before the adversity came to you.
Before COVID-19, the Philippines was already on to SMT-based measures to improve its resilience capacity. With COVID, the country was awakened to the need for resilience of our economic, health, and educational status as well.
The country as a whole is, I think, not so resilient because while we have the capabilities, the opportunities, and the resources to cope with COVID-19, the whole body is suffering because the leadership and management is not working so well. When it comes to individual resilience, those who have more resources, capabilities, and opportunities will be more resilient than those who are not.
A lot of the problems really may be interconnected, Vale. You have to look at it from a holistic point of view. It encompasses more than natural sciences or physical problem, Vale, but also it gets into the ecological, biological, as well as social panga.
Among issues and problems we have are poverty, ecosystem destruction, climate change, and variability.
Much of our attention is placed only after the disasters happen. What we should do really is to take early action years before the hazard strikes, and we should put our attention and our resources into that type of planning.
We need SMT-based transdisciplinary and inclusive approach to coping with possible hazards.
The fragmentation of society needs to be resolved for resilience.
Communication is very, very important. And we should communicate to the people using not just scientific communication means, but through arts, music, understand the mindset of the Filipino people so we can communicate better.
Well, the way to move forward is interoperability.
So we have to do a lot of work as a person, as a community, and as an institution to really have resilience as one of the values of the Filipinos. Yung tunay na resilience na towards improvement.
Building resilience requires sustainability science, which is inspired by transdisciplinary approach.
To be sustainable, you have to be resilient. To be resilient, you have to be sustainable.
Go natural, go with nature's flow. Non-structural or natural interventions, as well as good planning, is the most sustainable.
Finally, we need to harness and strengthen the Filipino spirit of bayanihan
Magandang hapon at isang makulimlim na panahon sa ating lahat at welcome po sa ika-124th episode ng The Filipino SDG Action Hour. Muli niyo kaming samahan sa isa't kalahating oras ng hitik na impormasyon at magbagong kaalaman. So pag-usapan po natin ngayong hapon ang topic na pinamagatang Ancient Echoes, the archaeological treasure and importance of Tabon Caves. Kasamahan po tayo ng isang eksperto. Siya po ang Director 2 from the Southern Luzon National Museum sa ilalim po ng Pambansang Museo ng Pilipinas. Siya po ang overseer o tagabantay pangalaga sa mga cultural sites sa kanilang region at siya po ay nagtapos ng Communication and Journalism sa University of the Philippines, Baguio. So bago po siya naging Director 2, nagsilbi siyang tagapatnubod ng National Museum Western Visayas in Iloilo sa loob ng 6 na taon. So her professional background spans public service and civil society work. So kabilang dito ang role bilang Public Information Officer sa Provincial Government ng Iloilo and as National Advocacy Program Coordinator ng NASSA, Caritas Philippines, kung saan siya ang nanguna sa pambansang kampanya para sa social justice and humanitarian issues. At para po ibahagi sa atin ang kahalagahan sa ating pagkakakilanlan bilang isang malaya at mayamang lahing Asyano-Pilipino, let's all welcome Ms. Hani Beso.
Magandang hapon, Mark. Thank you very much sa introduction. Magandang hapon din po sa ating lahat, sa ating mga esteemed panelists na narito ngayon. At sa ngalan po ng aming ahensya, ang National Museum of the Philippines, I'm very, very grateful to be part of this webinar and to represent our agency. And we're also happy to share insights on one of the country's very important archaeological site. And because of that, special thanks to our trustee, Dr. Georgine Primavera, and also a NAST member for connecting us with the Academy and your program, and for making this exchange possible. Pero siguro Mark, ang aking audience. Oh, no.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
We can hear you.
I guess it's okay po. Parang nagsahang yata sa side ni Mark. Bago po ako magsimula, just a disclaimer, I'm not an expert on this po. I'm not an archaeologist. And since we are focusing, this presentation will mainly focus on one of the most important archaeological site in the country. I asked my colleague to join me here. He was the one actually who helped put together this presentation. And siya yung totoong eksperto. The technical side or archaeological side, I'm sure na Taj will be happy to chime in and provide inputs as well. So anyway, if I can now begin my presentation, I will share my screen. Is it visible?
Yes po ma'am, starting to download. Yan po.
All right, sige. Thank you very much. So the presentation is titled Archaeological and Ecological Significance of Tabon Cave and Lipuan Point. And here's a quick overview of what I will be covering. We will start with a brief introduction to the National Museum of the Philippines, since Tabon is currently under the stewardship of NMP, and it will be followed by the archaeological and ecological significance of Tabon and Lipuan Point. And then maybe if there's still time, I can also touch on some of our efforts to sustain this important heritage site. So to begin, the National Museum of the Philippines traces its roots to 1887, when it was established through a royal decree as the Museo Biblioteca de Filipinas. So as you can probably guess now, it was founded alongside what later became the National Library of the Philippines. So we are literally sister agencies. And ito pong darating na August, we will be celebrating our 138th anniversary. So over time, yung institution po namin evolved, especially during the American period and post-war years, until Republic Act 8492. Yes, 8492, which formally established the National Museum of the Philippines and giving us the mandate for research, education, and cultural preservation. So today po, we operate under a much more expanded Republic Act number 11333 or the National Museum Act of 2019. And our mission is still to preserve and promote Filipino heritage through research, education, and exhibition. And to some extent, yung cultural outreach namin. Okay, so we manage a network of museums across the country, as you can see from the slide. Of course, including the central museums in Manila. And I think you can see that we are really spread out over the country and we're still expanding. Our central complex is in Liwasan, Liwasang Rizal. So you're seeing there the National Museum of Fine Arts, and behind it, the National Museum of Anthropology. And then along Calao, yan yung National Museum of Natural History. And of course, we also have regional museums in Luzon. So ito po yung nakikita natin sa screen, yung museum namin sa Northern Luzon. And then we also have museums in Southern Luzon. And of course, Visayas and Mindanao. So for the interest of this presentation, I just selected some museums para may suspense pa po sa iba na mga museums namin para if you're in the vicinity, you will be inspired to visit. But anyway, yung Tabon po falls under the Southern Luzon regional area, which is directly under my supervision. So yung Tabon Cave is located in Lipuon Point in Quezon, Palawan. So it's actually around 138 hectares limestone peninsula on the west coast of Palawan. And maraming nagdadub sa kanya as Cradle of Philippine Civilization. I'm not sure if this is accepted by the archaeologists. Perhaps later Taj can chime in, but the reason being why it's called that is because the excavations there revealed some of the earliest evidences of human presence in the country. So the area basically features coastal ecosystem that supports a host of endemic species, and that reinforces really Palawan's status as the last ecological frontier of the Philippines. And noong 1972 po, yung government through President Ferdinand Marcos Sr. declared the whole of Lipuon Point as a site museum reservation, recognizing its cultural and ecological value. And today, NMP manages the area as an integrated cultural and natural heritage site. And I'm also privileged and proud to inform you na it's been a part of the tentative list for UNESCO World Heritage Site. And we're really working very hard together with our partners on the ground to elevate it and inscribe it as part of the UNESCO World Heritage List or destinations. Hopefully, sana talaga po mangyari. And with the help of partner institutions, also like the scientific community and local stakeholders. So hopefully by the end of the presentation, you can also see the exceptional value of Tabon and why it really deserves to be there. So as mentioned earlier, yung first part po ng presentation will focus on the archaeological, and then yung second sa biodiversity value of Tabon Cave and Lipuon Point, and how their preservation also supports the attainment of Sustainable Development Goal. And hopefully we can also share yung mga efforts ng National Museum through conservation programs, research, and then community engagement. All right, so yung Tabon Cave Complex, actually, it's called, well in Quezon, there are two major indigenous communities, yung Tagbanwa and yung Palauan. And Palauan, the Palauan group, they're really concentrated in Quezon. So in their local language, they call Tabon Cave as Giyog. They don't really call it Tabon Cave. I think nung time na lang ni Fox siya na pangalanan na Tabon Cave, but it's really called Giyog sa Lipoon or Giyog sa Tawa-Tawa. Giyog is cave for, in their language. So it is made up of 200 caves and rock shelters carved into as a limestone promontory. And what you see on the screen now is a map showing the location of caves that have yielded archaeological finds. So there are around 38 of them so far. And you may notice also that these caves have openings that face the sea. And I'm not sure if that's an accident, and Taj can correct me on this later, but some archaeologists I've talked to, they would tell me na early humans daw often choose elevated sites overlooking the coast, especially for burials. So it's a pattern we see daw across many prehistoric coastal communities. So in 1962, Dr. Robert Fox, who was with National Museum at the time, led the team of NMP archaeologists in conducting systematic excavation. And they were guided by Palawan indigenous community, yung mga Palauan. They were the informants. And they found thick archaeological deposits that point to human presence that spanned 50,000 years. So it's a nearly uninterrupted period of habitation. And it turns out na it's something special because it's rare for a prehistoric site like this to have an unbroken record of occupation. So one of the 200 caves that Fox explored, yung Tabon Cave talaga yung nag-stand out. Yung excavations there revealed deeply stratified cultural layers, and they were able to unearth human fossils and tools that would really go to reshape our understanding of Philippine prehistory. And yung Tabon Cave, it's best known for producing some of the earliest and direct evidence of anatomically modern humans, or yung tinatawag nating Homo sapiens sapiens sa Pilipinas. And yung team po ni Dr. Fox recovered fossilized human remains, including a skull cap and yung jaw fragments. And they're collectively known, I'm sure narinig na po ng karamihan sa atin, na Tabon Man. They're collectively called Tabon Man. And they're dated to be around 16,500 to 2,000 years before present. And these finds confirmed the presence of modern humans or Homo sapiens sapiens in the Philippines during the late Pleistocene. So yung later finds po include jaw fragments dated 31,000 to 7,000 BP, and tibia fragment dating back to 47,000 BP. So until the discovery of Homo lucenensis in Callao Cave in 2007, yung tibia ng Tabon Cave was really the oldest known human fossil in the country. And now, Tabon is really regarded as one of the most important upper Pleistocene sites in island Southeast Asia. So, ayan po, regionally, yung Tabon human fossil assemblage is rivaled only by sites like Nia Cave in Borneo. They're somehow about the same age. And kahit na nakikita naman natin na it's not really the oldest, yung significance po ng Tabon lies in its contribution to the story of human dispersal across the island Southeast Asia. Kasi from a broader paleoanthropological perspective, Tabon really is a part of the global narrative of human evolution. It is often discussed alongside other very important sites in the region, kagaya po ng Nia Cave na kaka-inscribe lang sa UNESCO this 2024. Of course, Callao Cave sa north and yung Liang Bua in Flores, Indonesia. And each of these sites really add to our understanding of how early humans moved and adapted and settled across the region. So, ayan, yung regional map na ito po shows Tabon's position relative to other hominin sites. So, while yung mga land bridges, they existed during the Ice Age, marami pa rin po kasi mga islands remained separated by sea. So, somehow, this suggested that early humans, maybe they used seafaring and other maritime strategies also to travel. And yung Tabon provided a crucial insight into how these early humans navigated and survived in a we can call fragmented island environment. So in other words, parang it provided a key reference in understanding human evolution and movement. And siguro without Tabon, we can say na there will be a missing gap in the sequence, or if you will, or sa narrative ng human dispersal and evolution. So aside from human fossils, Tabon also yielded cultural artifacts that span, as I mentioned earlier, 50,000 years. So Dr. Fox even identified what appeared to be a flake tool workshop inside the cave. Parang this is an evidence that tool making was really happening on site and not just nearby. And yung key discovery, another key discovery also is the jar burial culture from the late Neolithic to Metal Age. Yung burial jars, including the most famous, yung Manunggul jar po, as you can see, it's a finely decorated secondary burial jar with, what do you call that? A boat of the dead, I guess the sign you can say, dating to around 800 to 700 BCE. And it's now recognized as a national cultural treasure. Currently, it's displayed at the National Museum of Anthropology with its replica at the National Museum of Tabon in Quezon. And the picture above Manunggol in the display is also one of the examples of burial jar types from Tabon, showing various sizes and typologies. So marami po talagang na-retrieve na mga jars, burial jars from Tabon Cave Complex. So other finds include carved shell tools and ornaments, lalong-lalo na po sa Duyong Cave. Well, Duyong Cave is not part of the Lipoon, but it's in a nearby barangay. And the archaeologists also found polished shell adze, or it's the oldest known in the region. And jade ear pendants then called Lingling O. And together, these archaeological finds suggest long-distance trade networks. So, meron din daw mga na-recover na mga ceramics from Sung and Yuan dynasties, as well as from Thailand and Vietnam, which, you know, shows Palawan's involvement in regional trade from as early as 10th to 14th century. So yung recent research also sa Tabon continues to, well, uncover mga bagong information about how the early inhabitants lived, or about their life ways. And during the year 2020 and 2023, a team of Filipino and international archaeologists closely examined the stone tools that were recovered from Tabon. And using microscopic analysis, they found na there were clear signs that the early inhabitants of Tabon were working with plant fibers as early as 39,000 to 33,000 years ago. So they were already able to manipulate fibers for their use. And how they were able to come up to this conclusion was the discovery of these stone tools having or showing polish or tiny scratches, which suggested na they were used for stripping or processing plant material. So likely po to make ropes, baskets, nets, or traps. And this tells us that the people of Tabon had surprisingly advanced skills and were already using woven or what they call corded materials for daily life. And yung lead archaeologist of this exhibition at that time, si Dr. Hermine Chauffleur, pointed out na yung fiber technology is really essential kasi it allows for making of a lot of things like bowstring, snares, building materials, and many other tools na necessary to survive. And what's really fascinating is that these researchers were able to replicate these ancient patterns by observing traditional fiber stripping methods still used by the Palauan communities today. So can you imagine any tradition na nag-survive for thousands of years and still finding relevance in today's time? And another thing na implication din nitong use of fiber technology, this could also hint at something bigger, like yung ability to travel across the water. Kasi if they had ropes, it was likely that they had the knowledge to build rafts or boats. And in fact, the only way kasi before for people to reach Palawan was to cross the sea, since it was never fully connected by land, yung Palawan with the mainland Borneo, and even during the Ice Age. So yung early evidence of seafaring helps us understand how humans really moved through island Southeast Asia. And it also shows how capable these early inhabitants or early foragers in Tabon were. So yun, merong environmental changes over time and likely shaped by how people lived in Tabon. I mean, it shaped how the people interacted with the environment. And as the Ice Age ended and sea levels began to rise, yung ibang inland caves were eventually abandoned in favor of coastal rock shelters. And this suggests that people adapted their settlements and food sources in response to a changing landscape. So, for example, yung nandito po sa screen natin, nakikita natin yung unti-unting pag-melt ng ice, ng ice. And in fact, sa monograph ni Fox, sinabi niya na yung Tabon Caves oldest layers dating to around 8,000 years ago, ito yung time na yung coastline was still around about 30 kilometers away. People that were eating mostly freshwater shellfish. But by around 4,000 years ago, when the sea level started to settle to its present state, yung nearby cave in Tabon, yung Guri, which is closer to the coast, had large amounts of marine shells and bones from coastal animals. So yung shift from river-based to marine-based resources shows how people gradually moved closer to the sea and also adjusted their diets and as the shoreline, I guess, came nearer. So as the environment changed, the people shifted their survival strategy. So kanina the videos were talking about the resilience, and I think na etong ginawa ng mga early inhabitants really is a manifestation of excellent resilience, from hunting land animals to gathering shellfish and fishing. So this continuous record of human activity supports the idea that, Palawan really served as a key corridor for early human migration into the Philippines. And it also highlights how well the people of Tabon adapted to the challenges of a changing world. So yung burial practices naman na I've mentioned earlier, it reflects cultural continuity and spirituality kasi ang sabi ng mga archaeologists, there were around 30 burial jars that were recovered, dating from 1500 BCE to 1300 BCE. So some jars were decorated with red ochre or incised designs, kagaya po ng manunggul, and others naman were simply plain. So the grave goods include locally made pottery and shell ornaments, as well as imported ceramics. And all these point to a cultural exchange and evolving tradition. So the use of caves as burial sites show a deep reverence for these spaces. Possibly they were seen as portals to the afterlife also. And this spiritual significance continues today, even among the contemporary indigenous Palawan and Tagbanwa communities. And they continue to regard the caves as sacred. So all these, yung use of funerary vessels like the jars and yung interning the dead sa caves, they indicate a strong cultural continuity. And they also point to a very complex spiritual belief and rituals na got passed down through generations from hunter-gatherer to contemporary communities now. And well, this is not just in Palawan, but actually across island Southeast Asia. So that ends the archaeological side of our presentation. But as we know, Lipon is not just a historical treasure. It's also an ecological refuge. And as a protected museum reservation, it's limestone forest, cliffs, and mangroves. We're very happy to say that they remain largely intact. And the landscape of Lipuon is really a mix of limestone forest and coastal ecosystems. And along the shoreline, particularly dun sa likod po ng site namin sa log pond, we call it log pond, mangroves really grow dense in there. And although there haven't been any full scientific surveys yet, Dr. Primavera conducted a rapid assessment and documented at least 10 mangrove species within a small plot and 28 tree and shrub species along a 600-meter stretch of shoreline. So we know that, of course, a more detailed study is needed to really establish yung profile ng Tabon Cave. But, just offshore, coral reefs add to the biodiversity also of the area, linking land and the sea habitats. And the botanists from the National Museum also found rare plants there, including these 3 endemic species, and they only grow in limestones. So, ang karamihan sa mga yan, makikita nga doon sa pinaka-entrance ng caves namin. And yung cave is also home to bats, although we don't have at the moment the exact number of the population and even the species count. But we know that there's a significant bat population there. And of course, yung swiftlets. And actually, the site's name, Tabon Cave, comes from the Tabon scrub fowl, yung bird known for nesting in warm mounds of decomposing matter or yung guano. So, nakita ng mga locals sa area na doon sila nagne-nest sa guano deposits ng cave. And, well, making it a fitting symbol of the area's natural heritage. And another picture that you see there is the Tabon bird perching on the shoulder of our staff. So, Just to clarify also, na-injure lang po kasi yung bird na yan. So the staff was taking care of it and tinurn over po namin sa PCST. But the surrounding forest supports other species like Philippine long-tailed macaque and other species ng monkeys and critically endangered Palawan pangolin. And well, actually, yung pangolin, hindi pa na-document fully also, like as with other species there. But we know that it's there, and the protection of the area as a site museum reservation makes the whole of Lipuon a possible refuge for their population. And eto naman pong succeeding slides are the faunal population na pinrepair or na may record yung aming zoology division. And etong mga ito they have been cited talaga in the area. And in fact, yung lahat ng photos na ito po ay pag-aari ng mga researchers namin. So wala nga lang talagang formal species or population inventory. So eto naman po yung ating mga birds in the area, also yung reptiles, and just recently there was a sighting of Philippine rat snake, and our staff published her research note on it sa reptiles and amphibians. And then eto naman po yung mga arthropods natin. And of course yung mollusks. So all of these are again endemic in the area. And yung declaration natin na site museum reservation has really enabled us to protect the whole of Lipuan Point from destructive activities like mining, logging, and so many others. And yung conservation naman sa side ng National Museum includes regular monitoring of the caves, site maintenance, and then yung guided access. Sometimes we feel the need to close some of our caves just to let them recover for a bit. And we guide our guests sa ibang activities that they can indulge in while visiting the site. So we also have education and local partnerships with academic institutions and other stakeholders to foster the idea of long-term stewardship in the area. So sa amin po, yung cornerstone ng NMP public engagement sa Tabon is yung site museum talaga. We established that site museum in February 2024. It was formally inaugurated last year, and it features galleries and exhibits. Currently, there are 4 permanent galleries, and all crafted to educate the public on different aspects of Palawan's heritage. So yung first gallery ay yung Cradle of Heritage, which introduces the archaeological finds like the Manunggul Jar and the Tabon Skull Cup. And then yung Surviving Heritage, ito naman yung gallery ng natural history namin, highlights biodiversity and endemic species. And then yung Bituon presents the traditional knowledge and practices of indigenous community, especially yung traditional astronomy. And then yung stories of origin. Ito yung nagtitrace ng 6 decades of archaeological research from 1962 ni Dr. Fox to present. So together, these galleries really highlight the intersection of archaeology, ecology, and then ethnography. And Tabon's preservation showcases talaga how heritage and biodiversity can support sustainable development. And yun nga, aside from legal protection and active studies, we're really engaging with our communities to make them partners in conservation. And together, we contribute to the attainment of sustainable development goals in climate and biodiversity, education, sustainable communities, and then livelihood. Kasi we also support the crafts of indigenous communities and we get their products and exhibit them at the National Museum gift shop. And for us kasi sa National Museum, community engagement is really central to what we are doing. So yung indigenous knowledge, guided early excavations, and now they shape the museum interpretation and even our public program. And as you can see, all of the participants in our public program activities ay we ensure na yung mga IP groups natin, the nearby barangays, even the LGUs also, basically all the actors in the municipality are invited and engaged. So eto po yung part of our public programs. And so there's a craft by local artisans. They also sell their products after, yung baskets nga. And then yung nakikita nating program on beads and clay making. So for us, it's part of the campaign to deepen public connection in supporting the Sustainable Development Goals. So ayun po, maraming salamat, and we consider what we're doing here as part of not only heritage stewardship, but really ensuring na Tabon remains a living cultural landscape, na yung history, ecology, and then the community come together to really build a sustainable future for every one of us. So I just would like to acknowledge my colleagues who really contributed to the data and information reflected in this presentation. And if anyone is interested to read more about Tabon, kasi yun nga, we're on our journey to be a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and public discourse and participation is really welcome and will help us in so many ways. Yun lang po from our side. Maraming salamat.
Ako, ma'am, maraming salamat din po sa inyong napaka-informative at napakagandang presentation. Sa totoo lang po, para po kung nanonood ng Nat Geo. So sa mga kababata ko dyan, kahenerasyon ko, alam po natin ang panahon ng cable na National Geographic saka Discovery Channel. So dito po sa presentation mo niyo, ma'am, nalaman ko na napakahalaga talaga ng Tabon Cave. Bawat buto, bawat shell, bawat fiber, nakakabit pala yung kwento ng pag-evolve ng lugar, landscape, which is thousands of years in the making.
50,000 to be, well, it's almost an unbroken continuous habitation of the site for 50,000 years, as evidenced by the material culture na na-recover nila doon. Nakalimutan ko, but meron din palang fire use technology doon.
Kaya nga po, ma'am. So napakalaking bagay na dapat po talaga pangalagaan. Hindi lang po yung art, kasi nangyari po, ma'am, sumabit din po yung pangangalaga sa ecology sa biodiversity ng lugar. Napakaganda pong plataforma at programa. Now we're going to open the floor sa ating pong mga panelists, sa ating attendees about their questions. Pwede po kayong mag-type. Meron po rito nag-raise ng hand si Dr. De Castro.
Yan.
Sunod ako.
Hi, good afternoon. Kamusta?
Gandang hapon po.
Gandang hapon. Ang ganda ng presentation. Wonderful talaga. What struck me was yung connection nung, habitation that's been, I guess, substantiated over 50,000 years to the current culture of the Palawan people. No? So, ang ganda. Gusto ko lang sabihin na, I don't know if you're aware, but the Palawan are actually under siege at the tip of Palawan, yung Marihangin, no? And the fact that we are able to connect their culture to like the earliest Filipinos, we really should be protecting them, no, against like itong interests that are clearly, unjust. So I don't know how you're throwing your support to the indigenous people. On the other side of Palawan, I mean, they're not that close, but they are in fact related, and the culture is the same. So if you want to be a UNESCO heritage site, I think maybe it's incumbent on you to like protect the entire culture and support those people who are currently under siege. You're the National Museum. You have the duty to actually, lend your support to cultures, Filipino cultures that are under siege. I
Right.
wonder what your movement on that front is. But wonderful presentation. I hope, even those people who are like trying to trying to own the land of our indigenous people, like see that, nobody has ownership. This is like 50,000 years of indigenous, ancestral, claims, diba? So, I mean, I don't think they have any any say on that. So, sige, go ahead and respond. Thanks.
Thank you po, Dr. Dica.
Yes, yeah.
Actually, yung inhabitants po ng Tabon Cave, hindi sila directly related to the population, population that we have now. But yung practices and traditions talagang nag-continue. And as regards to what we have been doing, currently po nandito kami ngayon sa dialogue stage with them. Because before, ang atin lang pong contact with them also is very informal. And the National Museum, if sabi namin, if we mean to proceed with the UNESCO inscription, then they need to be actively involved not only in all aspects of the management. So, and this journey will be very long. We anticipate that it will take a bit of time because yung conversations need to really address so many issues and concerns. But the most important thing is we have started and we've established a platform for dialogue with them. And sa ngayon, hindi pa po nila na bring up yung concern na nandun sa another tip of Palawan concerning their brother indigenous community. But we are very open and we will, of course, listen to what they have to say and see where the National Museum can support them in any way that we can.
Yes.
Maraming
Pwede na
salamat
ako,
po
Mark?
doon. Sige po, Sir Ted.
Ted, kung isang agronomist, napakaganda ng makarinig ng mga ganitong discussion, presentation. I'm amazed na ganun pala kahaba o katagal na ang ating historia. So yung pagsasalarawan mo at pagdidescribe mo ng Tabon Caves sa Quezon, sa Palawan, saka doon sa kung i-connect mo sa ating istorya ay napakahaba. And then para maging significant siguro ito, dapat mabanggit siguro sa pagtuturo ng Philippine history. Ang isang medyo misnomer kasi yung salitang Magellan discovered the Philippines na nandyan sa ating mga textbook ng Philippine history. Siguro yung narrative na yun dapat mabago at ma-rephrase siya in that context na ang Pilipinas ay una sigurong nakapunta ang si Magellan kasi yung mga European kasi pag nakapunta sila sa ibang lugar akala nila sila lang ang nakadiscover noon. So naitanim sa utak, sa kaisipan ng maraming Pilipino. Kagaya ko na rin, kaya napakaganda siguro na sa ating edukasyon, isama na ito. Lalo na gusto natin siyang ma-recognize as UNESCO World Heritage. And in addition to that, siguro kung meron tayong kaibigan sa Congress, Senator, or whatever, ma-recognize yung Tabon Cave as a pre-colonial history natin para ano naman natin yon at magkaroon siguro ng natatanging araw para gunitain itong mga ganitong kiniklaim natin na World Heritage na maganda naman at kayo ay nandyan at meron kayong nakakatulong. So, yun, carry on, keep up the good work that you're doing Hindi lamang sa pagkain tayo nabubuhay, ika nga, man does not live, or humans that does not live on bread alone, ika nga, no? Dapat mahalin din natin ang ating kultura, ang ating pinanggalingan, okay? Na hindi ganun tayo ka-backward or whatever. So, yun lang. Salamat. Yun lang, Mark. Thank you.
Salamat
Thank
po, Sir
you
Ted.
po,
At
Sir Ted.
totoo lang po, sir, nakakalungkot po yan. Totoo po yung sinabi niyo, sir. Kasi po, kahit po ako, para po sa akin, ang tatandaan ko sa history ng elementary, nag-start ang history ng Pilipinas ng 1521 kay Magellan sa kay Lapu-Lapu. Unlike po ng China, ng Japan, meron po silang mga AD na binabalik ang kwento. So, Director Beso, paano po kaya natin ilalagay sa utak ng population po natin na hindi, meron tayong history after death pa, before death pa, BC. Tulad po ng mga Egyptian na bumabalik pa po sa biblical times. So paano po kaya natin mapagyayaman yung ganoon na history ng ating bansa?
Oh, kasi alam mo, Mark, syempre yung written history kasi nagsimula talaga sa kanila. Kaya lang, bago pa sila dumating, napakayaman na yung trade relation natin. Napaka-robust na yung trade relation sa ibang bansa. Hindi lang ito sa China, but even Middle East. Talagang existing na yung ating, what do you call that? Yung trade partnership with them. And I think ito rin dito yung pumapasok yung mga efforts ng ating mga archaeologists na talagang para ma-establish yung lifeways and traditions and the civilization that existed before yung historical records. Kaya nga, ang work talaga ng archaeologists natin ay prehistory. So, sila talaga yung kumbaga, doing their best to really find as much evidence as they can para maipakita na the early humans, the pre-colonial people, pre-colonial Filipinos are as modern and as modern in their thinking as with other communities at that time. Meron silang technological know-how, meron silang concept of really developing their culture and their technologies. So it's an ongoing work for the archaeologists, but hopefully unti-unti, but matatama din natin yung mga ganitong misconceptions. And even kami sa National Museum, that's also part of our mandate na itama yung mga misconception na nagsimula yung lahat-lahat nung kailan tayo
Kay
na
Lapu-Lapu.
ni Magellan. So yung mga exhibitions po ng National Museum already features many pre-colonial our pre-colonial heritage. So I would also like to invite my colleague si Taj, our senior archaeologist, kung meron siyang maidadagdag sa at least ginagawa nila sa end na ito.
Yes po. Sir Taj, pero po kayong gusto pong
If
ibahagi?
Taj is here with us.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone po. I'm Taj, Senior Museum Researcher of the Archaeology Division. For now, we're all working on writing a dossier for the nomination of the Tabon Cave complex and all the point now for nomination for UNESCO World Heritage Site. And as we continue, consulting a lot of experts about World Heritage Site and of course, going back to the near 60 years of literature about Tabon Caves, we kind of learned a lot about its significance and value, no, na pwedeng ilaban sa international sa buong mundo, no, kaya it's World Heritage Site. And we actually see the uniqueness of the Tabon Cave complex. Actually, it's more also of the whole Palawan. Regarding sa adaptations ng early humans, no. First of all, Tabon Cave is part of this whole journey of human evolution. It has been nakasama siya sa map ng ng evolution, not just ng mga other hominins, but especially of the Homo sapiens sapiens. So imagine it's nearly 50,000 years, yung earliest na evidence here. And ang the journey of of humans papunta dito sa Southeast Asia is started around 80,000 years ago, or even earlier. So it's very close dun sa dun sa known narrative uh, ng voyage ng early humans towards Southeast Asia and eventually in the Pacific. So we're all actually part of this huge dispersals of early humans out from Africa towards here to Southeast Asia. No? So yes, that's one of those important value that we have in Tabon case. Though. Secondly, we know that for 50,000 years now of the Philippines has gone through, as part of this larger region, Asia Pacific, gone through a lot of drastic changes because of the climate change, the rise of sea level. So, di ba, nagkaroon ng ice age 50,000 years ago is late Pleistocene. That's the last ice age we have. Then sudden rise of sea levels at the end of it, around 11,000. It was very drastic. A lot of loss of the major lands from Palawan, and totally change of climate. And we see it from Tabon Cave that the resilience of the early humans or early Filipinos, Palawan, and how they survived through it. No? So despite of the sudden change of the environment from very forested areas and grasslands to coastal environments, mangroves, and also like tidal flats and everything, they were able to still adapt, use the same technologies, the stone tools, and innovate and improve their, develop their other groups of technology. So, for example, Tabon Cave is also a site where you could find a lot of shell artifacts. These are shells manufactured into different objects. And we are the only ones, well, we are at least the one of those regions in Southeast Asia Pacific that produce a lot of objects, artifacts made of shells. And most of them are actually locally developed in Palawan itself, in Tabon. So Tabon and other places in Palawan. So you can see actually how the ingenuity naman of humans in there as they continue to adapt to those drastic changes of environment. Now, thirdly, and which is very important, is you could actually see Tabon is like one or maybe the only site in the Philippines where you could find so many jar burial practices in a single limestone, a single karst structure there now. So we have around 38 identified sites with archaeological materials. And there are 35 out of those 38 contain jar burials. And hindi lang siya just jar burials. It was a diverse assemblages of jar burials, different design styles, forms, and even yung contents mismo na associated with it. So that would tell us enough na how diverse na rin yung community back then who've been practicing this. And these were brought by, according to archaeological studies, by maritime communities who introduced pottery. So these are like if you're familiar with the Austronesian, ancestral Austronesian people, our very own ancestors, where we got our different languages. So a lot of these communities have come here to practice their jar burial traditions. So ito po yung isa sa mga magandang story na malaman ho natin kung paano ho na tinitignan ang Tabon Caves or the whole complex itself through all these years, from being a very functional habitation transformed into something of very, very sacred until now, they're sacred for the communities. So until now, yung mga IPs or the Palawans would see the Tabon Cave, the Hulipun Point, as something monumental. Although sa kanila it became a landmark na lang. Kaya tinatawag na Lipuan kasi it's actually a place where they could turn around or liliko sila for in other places. Pero yet they Some of them I heard na parte sila ng kanilang folkloric landscape. It was seen as some of them ay mga Palawan groups see them as a boat from far. So this kind of uh, thinking about the monumentality ng isang isang place like Lipunan Point still persists for until the present community. So Tabon Cave we have been working this for a long time, but yes, Tabon Caves has the oldest evidence of Homo sapiens in the Philippines, and something we could actually be proud of, and it could be valued very much until the future generations, because this is where we've been calling it like the cradle of our heritage, because the earliest some of the earliest burials in here. There's evidence of burials are in here. We have the earliest evidence of the jar burial practices are in here. So likely this kind of tradition might have been actually have or emerged in this kind of place, a site of human resilience, adaptations, and even ingenuity of our culture. So that's how we also value as researchers and scientists in the Tabon Cave complex.
Kaya sir, nakaka-proud na malaman through your words na 50 years ago tayo ay may sarili ng pagkakakilanlan bilang Pilipinong Asyano. So hindi na po tayo tulad ng mga barbaric na kita natin na naghahunting pa at pumapatay ng tao para yun ng pagkain. So wala na pala tayong ganun 50,000 years ago. So wala na sa ulirat ng ating konsensyo during that time na meron tatawag na yaman at kulturang sa atin. Now let's proceed po sa question po ni Sir Cesar.
Ladies first ba o ako na?
Ano na po, kung sino po unang nag-raise, kayo po muna, then after po si Ma'am G po.
Dinala ko lang yung fans club ko, Director. Una muna, thank you very much for an interesting presentation. Hindi sinasabi ni Dr. Ted Mendoza kasama si ni Magellan. Kaya lang, hindi siya sumama sa laban kay Lapu-Lapu kaya siya nakatakas. Kaya sinasabi niya na mali yung Magellan first round the Philippines. Anyway, I'm happy you started with the National Museum. Tapos sa Tabon. Kasi ang feeling ko ganito 50,000 years, tapos boom! 2025, narito tayo ngayon. I'm looking for the term, but I'd like to call it cultural relations timeline. Between 50,000 years and ngayon na narito tayo sa FEP hour, what happened? That's why I'm calling it cultural relations timeline. We have 100 IP communities in the Philippines. Paano nagkaroon ng mga IPs? Maganda yan malaman. Tapos sabi ni Ted Vitales, yung maritime Austro-Malaysians and all that. Again, ispasok natin yun sa timeline. Okay. I helped Art Valdez reconstruct the first Balangay boat. We did it in Cultural Center. And it seems Butuan already has a very lively maritime culture. And we can also document the trade between the Philippines and China. Of course, at that time, hindi pa tawag Philippines yon. I saw also the Angono, Binangonan petroglyphs. Okay? So ang request ko, siguro, from 50,000 years, and for which we're proud, this is the earliest evidence of humanity in the Philippines, unti-unti natin idugtong so that up to now we can say, ito pala tayo ngayon. I think that enriches it very much. Now, second point, ano ba ang sakop ng National Museum? Well, didikit ko pala ito sa first. Yung ating animals, someone told me may difference between somewhere in the Philippines and going west, So if that can be looked into, parang iba yung nature of our animals. Okay. Then lastly, I'd like to ask, ano bang sakop ng National Museum? Because in Future Earth Philippines, we have very great scientists, ano? At saka meron na rin very good scientists who died na. So siguro, I don't know kung if it's another government agency or whatnot, but isama natin yung achievements of our scientists so that itong cultural relationships timeline papasok pati sa ating world-class local scientists. Yun lang. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much po. Well, yes, I think yan nga yung isa rin sa mga ginagawa talaga ng mga researchers natin na talagang ma-establish yung mga gaps sa timeline natin, sa historical timeline natin. So it's really an ongoing work for
No,
us at the National Museum.
don't be stuck with the timeline, with the gaps, but where you are already sure of, include it, and we're not yet that sure of, isama ng tentative, so that at least may kita yung flow. Sige, thank you.
Maraming salamat po doon, Sir Cesar. Now, mapunta po tayo sa question po ni Ma'am G.
Good afternoon, Director Hani. Nagko-communicate na tayo
Very
via
nice
email.
virtually.
Di ba tayo na? Ang aking gustong iparating ay walang hindi kilala ang Tabon Cave. Kasi kaya nga nangyari na feature din dito sa sa Future Earth ay dahil nung isang Thursday chat namin na nandoon si Academician Georgian Primavera, nabanggit niya in Tabon Cave. At nagkaroon ako ng interest, kaya nga nag-form na ako ng team na pero ang ibig kong sabihin, nobody knows about the Tabon Caves. I think napaka-importante na magkaroon ng mass media presentation. Kahit dapat ma-feature ito sa, let's say, newspaper, a series of articles about the Tabon Caves. Kasi napaka-importante ito para magising ang interes ng ating mga mambabatas at mailagay ito at yung ating adhikain na ito ay ma-incorporate sa curriculum ng basic education hanggang sa tertiary education. Kailangan nating buksan ang isip ng ating mga kababayan at magagawa lang yan through mass communication. Hindi nga namin malalaman ang Tabon Caves kung hindi nagkwento si Academician Georgine na na-pick up ng Future Earth para na-feature ka dito sa ating
Kaya nga po talaga nagpapasalamat po talaga kami dun sa opportunity na nilink kami ni Doc J sa inyo. Si Doc J po ay si Dr. Primavera.
Pero napakakulang ng inyong communication. Palagay ko, National Museum must exert efforts to really advertise or make the Filipino people know what you are doing. Di ba?
Opo.
Para makakuha ng suporta both financially and the community of Filipino people para makorek lahat ang misconception tungkol sa ating history. Ang pagkakaintindi ko, nung dumating si Magellan at saka ang mga Spaniards, tayo ay nakabahag pa. That's the kind of idea na na-pick up ko nung ako yung nag-aaral sa elementary. Ngayon, pinapakita ninyo na we have already a well-developed culture. May mga ginagawa ng burial at saka mga artifacts, maraming So, hindi namin alam, maraming hindi nakakaalam niyan. And you have to really educate through the mass media para makakuha kayo ng suporta both financially and sa Congress.
Yes.
And para doon sa UNESCO World Heritage. Salamat. At
Thank you very much po, Dr. Cuevas.
Matutuloy kami ang pagpunta dyan.
Okay, sige po. Aabangan po namin yan.
Okay, salamat.
Thank you po. Pagdating naman po dun sa yung popularization ng Tabon Cave, The National Museum has a Facebook page kasi para sa amin po ay ito yung pinakamadali na paraan para talagang maka-reach out sa mga tao. Yun ang pinaka-accessible kasi na way for them. But there is also always room for improvement in everything that we're doing. So kaya talagang open na open po kami at lalo pang pag-iigtingin yung mga ginagawa na nating mga advertise, if you will, for or pagpopularize ng mga ginagawa natin tungkol hindi lang sa Tabon Cave siguro but sa iba pang mga sites natin kasi kahit po yung Kalaw Cave is also under the management of the National Museum. Pero yung pinaka-primary platform namin talaga for education ay ang aming Facebook page. We do have a sizable number of followers, but yun nga po, kagaya po ng na-point out ninyo, ay talagang malaki pa rin yung room natin for improvement. And sabi ko nga rin kay Doc J, kung sino yung mga network niya na yung mga vloggers that we can invite sa Tabon Cave para mapakita natin sa kanila kung ano ba talaga yung significance ng lugar, hindi lang yung biodiversity profile niya, but also yung archaeological, yung heritage na it's like a time capsule of human population and evolution. So we would like to, yes, partner with everyone na would be willing to work with us. We're very open to that. And meron naman din po kami talagang mga massive campaigns on that aspect. Pero minsan talaga kasi mahirap din kalabanin yung popular culture of today's time. Marami kang kaagaw sa attention ng mga kabataan. Pero we're doing the best that we can and we are very open to these suggestions para lalo pa po nating ma-improve yung mga dapat nating gawin. And
If I may suggest, magpa-interview kayo sa radyo. Kasi yung mga kaedad ko, hindi kami mahilig sa Facebook. Pero nakikinig kami sa radyo at sa television.
Yes.
So, kailangang ma-educate yung mga grupo namin.
Okay po. This is noted. We will harness lahat po ng platform na pwede nating gamitin para po sa pag-popularize ng ating mga ginagawa at ng mga education campaigns natin.
Okay, salamat.
I think,
Thank
Ma'am
you
G,
po.
malaking bagay din po ang magagampanan o kaya role po ng Department of Tourism. Kasi hindi lang po pwede na pag Department of Tourism promote lagi Boracay, Calaguas, La Union. I think malaking bagay po ng departamento na yon na magkaroon ng programa na i-promote po ang ating mga cultural site. Tulad po ng ginagawa ng Thailand. Pupunta kayo sa Thailand para makita ang kultura nila. Same with China. Kultura po din nila ang pinopromote nila doon. So I think, saka Director Beso, meron po bang paraan na magkaroon po kayo ng parang coordination with, hindi ko alam kung sino, Department of Transportation po ba, na pwedeng gawing mura yung flight papuntang Palawan? Kasi isa po yun sa mga challenges eh.
Yun na nga po, no? Kailangan kasi talaga magbabarko ka or mag-aeroplano.
Exactly po. For example po, ma'am, ako po may pera, piso fare. Singapore, piso lang. Tapos ang Palawan, I have to spend 20,000. Ma'am, I think isa yun sa mga challenges ng mga tao. Kaya medyo mahirap puntahan ang Tabon Cave.
And actually, kahit po nandun ka na sa puerto, sa Palawan, may bubunuin ka pang 4 na oras para makarating dun sa Tabon Cave. At hindi rin talaga siya accessible sa public transpo. Pero kagaya po ng sinasabi nyo, iyan po yung bagay na talagang wini-work out namin with provincial government, with the LGU, kasi yan po yung wala na po yan sa, kumbaga, that's beyond our reach.
Opo.
Yung transpo arrangements natin sa lugar yun in transportation industry. Pero patuloy pong nakikipag-ugnayan yung ating local na National Museum doon, National Museum of Tabon, para talaga magkaroon ng kahit na public transpo or hindi rin may mga sinasuggest kami actually sa LGU na po pwede nilang i-explore, and even we've tried talking to tour operators also, owner
Tama
ng
po,
mga
ma'am.
na baka po pwedeng magkaroon ng airport to Quezon na biyahe kasi para mas maging accessible at mas madali sa tao yung pagbiyahe doon. Kasi ngayon wala talaga, magre-rent ka ng van papunta sa Quezon. But the museum there is receiving substantial number of visitors already.
Ganda po.
Maganda rin naman yung ating visitor statistics doon sa Tabon Cave. Kaya lang, we just know na kagaya nga ng sabi ni Dr. Cuevas, it can do better. Marami pa talagang room for improvement, at marami pa tayong pwedeng gawin at willing na gawin para po talaga masigurado na etong Tabon Cave at kung ano yung sinisimbolize, what it stands for, will be appreciated by the greater Filipino people.
Tama po, ma'am. So I think, ma'am, gawa tayo ng paraan para maging part siya ng tour packages, yung mga 3 nights, 2 days, ganun.
Actually nga po, nandun na nga po, hinost na nga namin yung DOT ng kanilang Philippine Experience Program doon kami yung host institution nila. So lahat-lahat ng mga tour operators all over the country. Well, I think for the region lang, for Region 4, doon pumunta sa Quezon, sa Tabon, para lang din advertise, for lack of better word, yung ating site museum.
Salamat po, ma'am. Now, let's proceed po sa question po ni Sir Ike. Yes, Sir Ike?
Director Beso, thank you for what you're doing and congratulations. I have some questions. Siguro may kinalaman din ito sa timeline. Kung yung mga tao doon sa cave, part ng African migrations. So therefore, Negroid sila, theoretically, di ba? Pero kung part sila ng Austronesian migration, hindi sila Negroid. They would be part of the people who we could refer to now as Malayo-Polynesian or Austronesian na, no? So, which? And saan pa mapasok yung Luzonenses? The Luzon man, anong timeline yon? And lastly, maganda nga yung ginagawa nyo, but ano ang coordination nyo sa DNR? Mayroon ba? Kasi part of what they are doing is part of what you are doing. Trabaho din nila Di ba? Kung
Yes, sir.
pinababayaan nila kayo or walang coordination, there's something wrong there somewhere. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, sa question. Well, actually, we're working very closely also with them. Yung DNR and DOT, yung secretaries yan, sit in our board. So they're also member of our board of trustees, kasama ni Dr. Primavera. But as regards sa question ninyo ng kung ano yung population na, sandali lang po. Maybe I will request my colleague Taj to answer that kasi nagde-delve na tayo dun sa technical side of my presentation, yung archaeology. So maybe if Taj can indulge us, please. Thank you.
Hello, Sir Taj.
Sorry,
Ayan po.
Kaka-technical ako sa aking taskbar. But okay lang, di ko muna pakita yung aking video. So,
Yes.
regarding to sa population, so medyo tricky rin yung question kasi the time difference between the emergence of we call as Austronesian or yung titawag na Proto-Austronesian speakers and the early migrations of humans who are how should I call it, categorized as Negroids dahil dun sa kanilang physical structure, no, the bone structure. And medyo malayo ho, no? So we don't know how much have changed for the past have passed since the out of Africa migrations of
Homo sapiens, no? Kasi po yung mga early Homo sapiens po kasi it comes to worldwide perspective. So actually they first appeared at around like ngayon is I think it's around 300,000 years ago, 200,000. So that's a big um it's a very deep time pa, no? And the only time ho na there are evidence of movements towards Southeast Asia started around 80,000 years ago, no? Sa Laos, so kasi like that's the that's like the dates of ng early humans sa Laos. It's 80,000, then 70,000 in Sumatra. No? So we only have those 50,000 evidence, no? So we are not really sure kung how much have changed comes to physical characteristics, you know. Uh, However, we have any attempts to link those uh, early populations, the 50,000 to other Pleistocene populations of humans sa Tabon with uh, the ancestor of the Agtas or the Negritos that we call now. So there's a possibility that they could be linked, although we can still it's not yet well established because medyo mahirap mag extract ng ancient DNA ho sa mga fossil materials. Pero yeah, we also consider that kasi one thing that we also need to remember po sa mga early humans is just like what we are right now, our human populations in this during the Pleistocene can also be diverse, no? Actually, sa studies ng human remains sa Tabon, I think they have identified at least two possible human populations. So these are the ones that has robust skeletal structure and those who have gracile na skeletal structure. No? So there are like possible twos, and it's hard to associate from which modern populations they can be linked with. No? Pero yun nga po, it can be possible if we could extract DNA that we could reconstruct at least kung ano yung skin type that they have or kung even the hair type because that's how we tend to that's the new science that we're already starting to learn, no? Yung ancient DNA ng mga humans, no? Actually sa UK they've already reconstructed yung earliest humans sa England, which is actually have darker skin or blue eyes. So things like that, no? Dito pa ako kasi we're still in the infancy of those kinds of methodologies. But it's very interesting how to learn how did they look like before. Uh, and yes, Austronesian is different populations, and we think na they actually moved around 4,000 years ago. So maybe the populations that we have right now can be linked directly dun sa mga ancestral populations that came from southern China and Taiwan. So I think yun po ang actually the least or that we could actually address to those questions. Pero yun nga, in the story of humanity, it just the directionality points to that from after
You're looking at the possible angle na baka hindi migrant yung original population ng Pilipinas.
The first population
that they could be native here na wala
well we're still not on that possibility. So it's still a huge debate. Pero yung emergence ng separate Homo sapiens at separate species po, the very obvious na evidence is all traced back to out of Africa or even Europe po. So dun sila nag-aaway kung sino yung mga earliest It's either Europe or Africa. It also Southeast Asia has also been they had a lot of controversies or subject for for discussion. Kagaya nga ng not necessarily Homo sapiens but other hominins whether they evolved na in this part of the globe. Homo luzonensis po is one of those. It's still hard to trace down kung saan sila most likely nag-evolve from. The same thing as sa Indonesia, the Homo floresiensis, they believe that they actually evolved on that island because of this, how do you call this? The island, forgot the yung kanilang hypothesis for, pero yung island evolution na thing, no? That's why Homo luzonensis and Homo floresiensis are quite small compared to to the standard size ng Homo sapiens, no? So they believe it's a product, no, ng island evolution. And same as Homo floresiensis, hindi rin nila ma-determine kung sino yung mas ancestral na line nila. So we already have different hominids sa Southeast Asia, the Homo erectus, and of course this other hominids, including Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens though, yan, ang very established for now is they all emerged from the African region or Europe at the least, no, because of those early dates, and they actually movements were detected towards Southeast Asia at around 80,000.
Salamat po, Sir Taj and Sir Ike. Now, let's proceed po sa ating pong last question from Doc RJ.
Magandang hapon ho sa ating lahat. Thank you very much sa interesting information about Tabon. And well, veterinarian ako, kaya ang interest ko would be animals. So may archaeological evidence ba na may land animals? Na-mention yun na yung marine animals eh. Yung land animals, say baka or kambing, mga ganun na kinakain ng mga tao. May nag-alaga kaya sila doon sa loob ng kuweba or nagluto sila ng hinanting nilang mga baka, for example?
For that, again, tatawagin po natin si Taj para sa kanyang kasagutan.
Sorry, kung may evidence po ba ng may niluto na
Baka
an
daw.
animal?
Yeah, animal presence, bale. Oo.
Yeah,
Ito po yung investigated.
okay. If we're focused only on Tabon Cave ho, yun ang medyo ang hirap anahin kasi the only time na nagkaroon talaga ng robust na ay evidence of talagang animal remains na medyo relatively mas malaki is during the mid-Holocene. No? So the deeper levels of Tabon Cave in itself is medyo mahirap makita dahil almost walang larger animals na nakukuha. No? So it's possibly that they have cooked it somewhere or butchered it somewhere. Ang mga nakukuha mostly dito is mga small animals eh. So baka mga namamatay na mga bats or birds doon or baka yun ang kinakain nila, no? Sa ancient, pero kung around Tabon Cave Complex, ayun nga po, deer and wild pig ho ang very common. Dahil yun yung very common sa vicinity ng Tabon Caves, ng Lipun Point. There are actually evidence of more faunal remains in a nearby site sa Barangay Maasin. This is the Pilanduk Cave. Ganun din po ang mga nakuha nila doon, no? They mostly wild animals, of course, deer and wild pig. And just for an additional information ho dito, it's something that we would really like to know what they do with it. There's actually tiger remains that were found in this cave, no? So far, two sites pa lang may tiger remains. Yung sa northern, sa El Nido, the Ile site, Ile Cave site, and doon sa south, yung Pilandok Cave, which is near Lipuon Point and the Tabon Cave Complex, no? So we're still trying to see if they're actually existing here at binutcher sila or it was something more symbolic or ritualistic, no? Yes, most of of course, kung ano yung available sa environment during the time, yung kanilang kinukuha. And during the time, deer and wild pigs are the most abundant na madali nilang ma-hunting in around the vicinity ng Tabon Caves. So, yun lang po so far eh. Later on, when it comes to the domestication and the idea ng domestic animals just came in 4,000 years later, or hopefully you could find them much earlier than that. Pero so far yan. it's like dogs and domestic pigs ay dumating na lang much later po.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat po sa makikita. Ayun, meron po tayong panghuling-huli sa pinakahuling tanong. Doc M.
Doc, nakamute ho kayo.
Doc RJ, nunahan mo ako sa tanong I'm also a vet so ang tanong ko sana kanina kung mayroon kayong findings na presence of animals na kasama yung mga cave dwellers noon For example, bones. Na-identify nyo ba lahat yung mga bones na nandun sa Tabon Caves? Kung ito ba ay human bones or ito ba ay animal bones. So kung may animal bones, gaya ni sinabi ni Dr. RJ, that will show na even that time, nag-aalaga na ng mga tao ng mga animals.
Yes po, even in the past reports so no, they've been identifying those. Isang part ho yun ng aming post excavation analysis so no, preliminary at least yung if we could how many animals or uh that we can identify from those fragmented parts ho no, na nahuhukay no. And yes ho, so far ho kasi in the Tabon Cave itself ho, evidence of deer and pig are the most obviously from their sizes size ng kanilang bones na nakita. Pero this is all around mid-Holocene na po. It's 9,000 to 8,000 years ago. So other places so it has the same thing pero yeah, same assemblage. But I'm sure one of those has one or two more species, especially when you're talking about this mid-Holocene, some mangrove environments. There are evidence of and monkeys, probably reptiles. Kasi yun yung mga malapit sa sa maharap din sa forests and mangrove areas, And yung reptiles like monitor lizards. So yan yung mga typical na huli. So it's typically typically wild wildlife who that they could see around their environment who yung nakukuha daw. So doon din namin actually na-determine if there's a nearby anong ecological niches or anong environment state environment ang malapit sa kanila because of what they're hunting or gathering po. And so far, yun nga po, ang proof ho na there's a nearby mangrove, likely around around Tabon Caves or grasslands where deers are mostly hunted. So, yan po yung mga yung aming mga so far ang mga nakikita ho, no. There are others, pero yun nga still within that wildlife set ho ng Palawan, no, right? Pangolin or even yung
Kasi sir may mga bones na talagang matitigas na even with so many years hindi matutunaw o hindi mawawala yan.
Yes
So
po.
palagay ko mayroon talagang mga bones doon sa cave And
Mm.
then my second question Sir Mark pahabol na lang ito Yun bang mga archaeological findings nyo inilipat sa National Museum?
Uh, we I know we get samples, geological samples, so even the fossils, whenever they do their field works. No? So most likely we do have it in here, but hindi lang actually kami, hindi lang actually National Museum, no? If there are any, uh, if there are other academic institutions, research institutions, no, there's a possibility they have collected din, ho. Pero right now kasi it's a long process kasi there's PCSD, so we don't actually collect geological samples unless they have that they have that permit. We request our permission to collect. So, well, all we can do is examine yung geological the geology of itself for us to understand bakit ganito yung mga what's happening or the deposits na nakikita sa Tabon Cave Complex po.
Mm. Kasi maganda sana yung Tabon Cave gawing museum mismo. Huwag galawin yung mga specimens doon para yung mga Palaweños ay mas madaling mapuntahan nila kaysa pumunta sa Manila, sa National Museum para matignan yung mga archaeological findings na
Yes, actually po meron po kami actually na site museum there. It was recently opened na 2023.
24, Taj.
24, okay. Yeah, early 2024.
And even the cave sites mismo, Dr. Dacusin, they also serve as sort of like a living museum. Lalong-lalo na yung Tabon Cave, we restrict public access there. They can just look at the work site of Robert Fox, but they can actually go inside or go over the harang that we put there. So it's like an exhibition area also. That's basically the purpose of Tabon.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you po.
Maraming salamat po, Doc M. At muli naman po matapos ang ating programa sa Biyernes na ito. At maraming salamat po, Sir Taj at Ma'am Honey, sa pagbibigay po ng oras ngayong hapon. Ito pong ating pong discussion for today na mala-documentary po ay ilalagay po natin sa ating YouTube channel para po mapanood po ng mas malaki pong viewers and population. So masasabi ko lang po na ito pong topic po ng Tabon Cave ay malalim kasi ito po ay sumasalo po sa pagpapahalaga ng nakaraan sa mayamang kultura ng lumipas na panahon at ito po ay isang refleksyon ng kung ano pong antas ng ating edukasyon at pamumuhay. So sa ating po mga nakikinig, tayo po ay matuto, mag-observe at pahalagahan po natin ang ating mayamang kultura at nakaraan. Tayo po ay parte ng Tabon at atin po ito. So lahat po tayo, kung meron po tayong oras, let's find time and also pera na makapunta po sa Lipuon Toy para po tingnan po natin ang ganda at yaman ng Tabon Cave. So let's all enjoy the rest of the week and bye for now.
Maraming salamat po.
Salamat.
Maraming salamat po sa lahat, sa ating po mga regular viewers and followers and attendees, Director Beso at Sir Taj. Maraming salamat po. And again po, see you next time.
Thank you so much. Maraming salamat.